Another year, another Call of Duty, and this time we're diving into the chaos of Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Treyarch decided things weren't crazy enough, so they threw wall jumping into the mix, and now every gunfight feels like a parkour competition gone wrong. The movement is faster, the openings are wider, and honestly, half the time I'm not even sure if I'm shooting at someone or at a blur flying across the screen. But that's exactly what makes this year's COD so fun. And of course, as always, we've got a brand new batch of weapons to grind through while chasing those beautiful, soul-destroying camouflages. Today, we're talking about one of the community's favorite weapon classes, the SMGs. They're back, they're mean, and they're finally giving us a bit of hope that ARS won't bully the entire lobby this year. Black Ops 7 brings some seriously strong options to the table, and trust me, if you love fast, aggressive, in-your-face gameplay, these guns were practically made for you. So let's break down the very best SMGs you should be using in multiplayer and why they absolutely deserve a spot in your loadouts. I'm quickly
Very
moving
small
on to
portion
the
of
video.
the audience
Before we
is
start,
subscribed to the
if you
channel.
enjoy these types of list
Please
videos,
don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos.
Subscribe. Enjoy watching.
Thanks.
The first weapon on our list is the Compact Recoil Kinetic 9. This one is a funny little machine because it tries so hard to be a close quarters monster, and honestly, it succeeds, as long as you do not take a single step past point blank distance. The 3-round burst can absolutely delete someone if all bullets connect, and when it works, you feel like a genius. The problem is that Call of Duty Black Ops 7 gameplay is so fast that landing every bullet in a burst is more of a gamble than a strategy. When you take the Recoil Kinetic 9 outside of those ultra-tight spaces, things get rough fast. Its damage drop-off is brutal, and you start to feel like you are firing warning shots instead of actually fighting. Mid-range fights are practically off-limits. You will push forward, get into a hallway, lift a gun, and immediately realize you are outmatched if the enemy is even a few meters away. It is one of those weapons that punishes you instantly for trying to use it like a normal submachine gun. Now, with Gunfighter, the Recoil Kinetic 9 becomes a bit more interesting and can start to feel somewhat competitive, but even with a fully stacked build, you are still working way harder than other players who are using stronger submachine guns. It is a fun toy, and it absolutely has its moments, but when you need consistency, this one drops straight to the bottom of the rankings. Still, if you enjoy chaotic, hyper-aggressive rushing and do not mind living on the edge, the Recoil Kinetic 9 can give you some unforgettable highlights. Next up is the Carbon 57, which unlocks surprisingly late in Call of Duty Black Ops 7. You would think getting one of the final submachine guns would feel like unwrapping a legendary weapon, but this one is more of a mixed bag. On paper, it looks great with that chunky 50-round magazine and solid accuracy. It even holds its own at medium distances better than most submachine guns, but once you start paying attention to the damage and how the weapon actually feels in your hands, the excitement fades a little. The real trouble with the Carbon 57 begins when you factor in its handling and mobility. This weapon moves like it is carrying emotional baggage. You are not exactly stuck in cement, but it is noticeably slower and clunkier than every other submachine gun in the class. And that is a serious problem because the whole identity of submachine guns is built around speed, aggression, and constant repositioning. When your weapon feels like it needs a warm-up routine before sprinting, you are already losing the advantage. Now, do not get it twisted. The Carbon 57 is still a perfectly usable and respectable option. It just struggles to keep up with the faster, snappier submachine guns that dominate the category. You can absolutely perform well with it, especially if you enjoy a slightly more methodical playstyle. But when it comes to choosing our favorites, the Carbon 57 lands lower on the list simply because the other submachine guns let you fly across the map instead of dragging your feet. Now let us talk about the Razor 9mm, a weapon that somehow manages to be terrible and fantastic at the exact same time. On paper, the stats look rough. It has the lowest damage in its entire category, and handling that feels like it is fighting against you rather than helping you. But then you pull the trigger and suddenly everything makes sense. Its outrageously fast rate of fire patches up its weak damage, turning the weapon into a frantic close-range blender that can erase players before they even react. Of course, the trade-off for that absurd fire rate is recoil that climbs like it is trying to escape the gun entirely. But with the right build, you can tame it just enough to make it functional even at medium distance. It is not the kind of weapon you take into long sightlines or tactical cross-map duels, but when you are sprinting into tight corners or choke points, the Razor 9mm transforms into a reliable panic button that simply overwhelms anything in front of it. This is why the Razor 9mm shines so brightly in objective-based modes such as hardpoint and domination. If you are the type of player who loves charging into hills, clearing rooms, and constantly applying pressure, this weapon is practically made for you. It is not the strongest submachine gun, and it will never top the meta charts, but it is an absolute blast to build, customize, and dominate close quarters fights with. It is the kind of gun you pick when you want chaos, speed, and pure fun, not perfection. Let us start with the Raiden 45K, the starting submachine gun in Call of Duty Black Ops 7, which honestly sets a high bar for beginners. This little workhorse manages to balance everything without really sacrificing much. Damage is solid, handling is excellent, mobility is on point, and accuracy is dependable. It may not have any flash or gimmicks, but sometimes being reliable is the best thing a weapon can do. You might call it boring, but the truth is, it melts through enemies so efficiently that boring hardly feels like a complaint. One thing that really makes the Raiden 45K stand out is its fire rate. It has the second highest rate of fire among all submachine guns, and when you pair that with its accuracy, it becomes a serious threat in nearly any situation. It may not one-shot anyone, but consistently landing rounds while moving around the map is incredibly satisfying. You get to enjoy the thrill of aggressive play without the frustration of a weapon that feels sluggish or awkward. All in all, the Raiden 45K is a top-tier choice for anyone, especially if you are just getting into the multiplayer grind. Its combination of speed, accuracy, and reliability makes it perfect for getting the hang of submachine gun play while still keeping pace with higher level players. Never underestimate this starting weapon. It proves that sometimes simple and balanced is exactly what you need to dominate the battlefield. Next up is the MPC-25, a submachine gun that earns its spot near the top of the list by being solid in nearly every way. From the moment you unlock it, you notice it is powerful, with a high damage output that can melt opponents in close to medium ranges. Accuracy can be a bit tricky to master, but the gun's excellent mobility and handling make it a joy to move around with, and once you add the right attachments, controlling recoil becomes much easier. The rate of fire on the MPC-25 sits in a sweet spot, fast enough to shred targets quickly, but not so fast that it becomes a handful to manage. This balance allows you to take fights confidently at short and mid-range without feeling underpowered or outpaced. It is one of those submachine guns where everything clicks together once you get familiar with it, making it a reliable option no matter how chaotic the match gets. The only catch is that it unlocks later in the progression, so it takes some time to get your hands on it. But trust me, the wait is worth it. With the right attachments, the MPC-25 becomes a top-tier weapon that can dominate almost any engagement. It is a submachine gun that rewards skill and attachment choices, and once you master it, you will feel unstoppable on the battlefield. Finally, we have the Dravec 45, the undisputed king of submachine guns in Call of Duty Black Ops 7. This weapon is an absolute joy to use because it blends the speed and agility of a submachine gun with some of the precision and reach you usually expect from an assault rifle. Sure, its raw damage is a bit on the lower side, but its tight accuracy, above average rate of fire, and competitive mobility and handling more than make up for it. Where the Dravec 45 really shines is its versatility. With the right attachments, it can dominate close quarters combat, handle mid-range fights with ease, and even surprise people at longer distances. It is that rare submachine gun that feels like it can do everything without completely compromising on any single aspect, which makes it perfect for aggressive players who want one weapon to cover almost every scenario. On paper, you might think it sits in the middle of the pack, but once you start using it, you quickly realize just how deadly it is. While the MPC-25 can overtake it with a perfect build, the Dravec 45 hits hard right from the start and only gets better as you fine-tune your setup. If you're looking for a submachine gun that is fun, flexible, and consistently lethal, this is the one to pick. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.